How y'all doing? Good, good. Thank you for popping in and saying hi. I know the last guy went long, I guess. But... So, look, I can sit here and pontificate forever, so really, if you have some questions, I'd rather take some questions if you guys want. Right away, go for it. What?
What's the secret to your hair throughout all these years?
What's the secret to my hair? I have no idea. My dad, I guess. I don't know. It's funny. I was in that. I go back and speak at one of my acting classes. I took 3 different acting classes over my 6 years in LA before I got Hercules, and I went in there to speak at this one about 2 years ago. And the guy asked that same question for some reason. So I miss the Hercules hair sometimes. I gotta say, I miss having long. It started to go back, and just a little bit now. I was in Melbourne, Australia, shooting a movie. It was a 1950s movie, so I couldn't really have the Hercules hair in that thing. It had to look like the 1950s look, so that's kind of what we did. But anyway, you had a question. Go ahead. Which character have I never played? I haven't played a radical pedophile Muslim yet. But maybe, you know, that's a role to look into. But, you know, I think the movie I would do more than anything, I would love to do a romantic comedy in the vein of When Harry Met Sally. I would love to do something like that. There's very few movies I stop at when I'm flipping channels. And, one would be Jeremiah Johnson with Robert Redford. Another one would be Casablanca. When Harry Met Sally would be another one. I don't care where it is in that movie. If I'm just flipping channels, I'll watch the rest of it. Those movies. We all have our top 10 list for movies. And these guys serve our top 10 list. But yeah, you know, I mixed it up a lot lately. I mean, I've done. Since Andromeda finished in 2005, I've shot close to 50 movies in the last 10 years. And a lot of them came out this year. But I've shot 3 already this year, and I've got a couple more lined up. And I just sold a new TV series, a pilot to NBC. So hopefully we're shooting that in January, February next year. And ironically, it's with my old bosses, Sam Raimi and Rob Tapert from the Hercules days. So I'm hoping Sam's going to direct the pilot, and we'll see. But you know, it's fun, and hopefully maybe get back on TV on a regular basis. I enjoy doing these movies, but I'm kind of ready to do something else. Ready to do a series again. Yes, sir.
How was it doing a series like Andromeda?
Yes, about Andromeda. I'm a big Gene Roddenberry fan. Love the original Star Trek series. I mean, I just love it. It's amazing to think that show only went 3 years. A lot of people don't know that. It got canned after 3 years. Is one of the biggest mistakes Paramount Studios and NBC ever made. Because at the time they thought it was a failure. They thought it wasn't too well. I was on my 7th season of Hercules. They say it's my last season because it ended up being my last season, but it wasn't planned to be that way. I was about to sign an extension contract for seasons 8, 9, and 10 to stay in New Zealand for another 3 years. But I got a call from Majel Roddenberry, Gene's widow, and she said, my husband wrote this show back in 1969 called Andromeda, and I just jumped on it. I said, I'm going to do it. And that's how that was going to happen. So I love doing it. It was 5 years up in Vancouver. Should have had a 7-year run. We got kind of bummed on that. We had the #1 show in first-run syndication. Stargate never beat us in the ratings. They had a 10-year run. Tribune Company owned us out of Chicago. They actually went bankrupt. And it wasn't because of our shows. The only things really making the money wasn't the Chicago Cubs, which they owned, and the papers that they owned, but it was Andromeda, Beastmaster, and Mutant X, I think the other series was called. Those shows were doing fine for them, but once they went into bankruptcy, everything got frozen, and we got booted out of our last 2 seasons. So people who were fans of that show got robbed of 44 more episodes. It was kind of a drag. Yes? Hercules workout schedule. It was a pretty good schedule. Let's see, up at 4:30 in the morning. On the set by 5:45. Hair and makeup, then work 12 to 14 hours, and then go to the gym for 2 hours, and then go back home. So it was a lot of 18-hour days door to door were pretty common, and then I'd get home, and then I would study my lines for the next day, and go to bed at midnight, and wake up at 4:30 again. So that was kind of typical. But It's a brutal schedule, but I loved it. And I loved being in the show. We had a blast every day in the show. The people I worked with were obviously just great. And, you know, 2 great spin-off series with Xena and Young Hercules. A lot of people don't know we had a Young Hercules series that lasted 2 seasons with 20-year-old Ryan Gosling playing me as a teenager. And Ryan was very upset when the show wasn't picked up. And I took him to dinner before he flew back to the States. And I said, Ryan, you know what, you're a good actor, you'll do fine. So I think things turned out pretty good for him. Now I say, well, dude, put me in one of your movies. My show and Mickey Mouse, you'd be nothing. So, but yeah, it was. I mean, the workout schedule was pretty intense. But like I said, I was a jock. I played, you know, football and basketball through school and everything. And the working out stuff was just something I enjoyed doing. Yes, any questions, anyone? Yes. What? You mean before I got Hercules or something, or what? Well, you know, I knew at 11 I wanted to be an actor. I went to a play. I grew up in Minneapolis, outside of Minneapolis. I went to a play, The Merchant of Venice. It was Shakespeare. I didn't know what the hell they were saying, but I was totally mesmerized by the actors on stage, and I made up my mind right then and there I wanted to be an actor. And I told my mom and dad that on the way home, and I got one of those, "That's nice, dear," you know, from my mom. But that was kind of set in my mind, and I didn't really do anything about it until I got in my college years, but I knew the seed was planted and was always there to do it. I think I had an acting coach named Roy London, who was my 3rd acting coach in LA. He died of AIDS back in 1996, but he was my coach in 1991, and really good acting coach, a really good class. I mean, that class had Brad Pitt in there, Matthew Perry, all these guys, Charlotte Ross, who don't know my Blue. I remember Brad Pitt writing this audition scene for Thelma and Louise. If you ever saw that movie, he's only in about 10 minutes, but he steals the movie. People are going, who the hell is this guy? And it was, I remember on a break out there. Back then, Brad, I don't know if he smokes anymore. I bumped into him now and then, but we used to obviously see each other a lot back then. And he was like a chain smoker back then. I said, what, Brad, you're too good looking? You're trying to get rid of your looks here? Is that the whole idea? And he says, you know, I just got this movie. I got to learn how to fly fish. It was called The River Runs Through It with Robert Redford directing. And I was like, what? Because Robert Redford and Paul Newman were the guys for me. That's what made me want to be an actor. You know, Jeremiah Johnson, I was mentioned earlier, The Way We Were, obviously Bush Casting, The Sundance Kid. So he did that movie, obviously, by Brad. But I think he was very instrumental, I think, in pushing me to go past the things that, I mean, he was always like, whatever makes you nervous, whatever makes you fearful of something, he says that's what you should pursue, that's what you should go after. So he was a great coach, very flamboyant. You know, when I told him I was going to drop out of class after 2 years, he goes, well, Kevin, we're doing so great with you, we're making these great breakthroughs as an actor. And I said, yeah, but I want to work more. I want to get up in front of, I want to get up in front of class. I want to do more scenes, because you only work like once a month if you were lucky. And he says, you learn so much by watching. I said, if that was true, I'd be a professional football player. I watch a lot of football. I'm not getting better at it. You know? Yeah, you do learn by watching. We have to do. You have to get up and do it as well. So he laughed and he couldn't argue with me. But then I got another acting class with a guy named Richard Brander, who really liked, and then that just boom. Then Hercules happened, of course. I mean, I was doing a couple pilots that didn't get picked up, but things were starting to really happen for me in Hollywood. And I knew that the break was around the corner. I just didn't know what it would have been Hercules, and so that's what it turned out to be. So that opened the door for me, obviously, for all of it. So yes.
And Call the Conqueror, how did it break this movie?
You asked me about Cull the Conqueror. Cull was my first big motion picture break I got with because of Hercules, obviously. And Cull was in the books from S.E. Howard. He was the father of Conan. So even though Arnold Schwarzenegger's older than me, apparently I'm his dad. But we shot for 3.5 months in Bratislava, Slovakia, and Croatia. 2 places I never thought I'd go to in my life, and go in there and get to know the areas pretty well. Actually, we're in. Kissing Tia Carrera wasn't a bad thing. That was okay. You know, Karina Lombard was a bit. She was tough to work with, but people would warn me about her ahead of time. You might remember she was in that Brad Pitt movie. What was that one? She played the Native American Indian. Legends of the Fall. She was in Legends of the Fall. If you saw if you saw The Firm with Tom Cruise, she's the woman that seduces him on the beach, and they took all these pictures of him to blackmail him. But she was a handful. She was tough. I remember our producer, Rafael De Laurentiis, Tina De Laurentiis' daughter, said, "Never, Kevin, have I been in a movie where nobody wants to sleep with the lead actress." She was that difficult. But Tia was, I've known Tia for a long time, so Tia was great. But there was that one scene missing when she turns into that demon, and they didn't have the creature's head ready yet. So I went back to New Zealand to film Hercules, and John Niccolella, the director, came down to finish shooting that scene. So we did it on a Saturday when I wasn't working, and people saw the movie. In the movie, I've got to basically French kiss this creature, and it's just gross. I got to bite the tongue out, and spit it out in slow motion and stuff. And it was gross, man. I committed though, man. I committed to it. But man, it was just, and it was creepy in the movie too. It looked pretty creepy. But I loved it in the movie. It was fun. It was a heck of a workout for sure. But it was a great experience, you know. And yeah, you know, that was the first big budget movie I did, and it did pretty well. It airs constantly on, I think, TNT or something. I know it's out the whole time. I think that Shawshank Redemption, I mean, it was alternate back and forth to completely different movies. Anyway, anything else? Yes? You know, you brought up a dancing thing on Hercules. There's an episode called Fancy Free, which is one of my favorite episodes. Michael Hurst actually directed it. Michael and I started directing on the series. My first one I directed was called The Apple, which I really loved. But Fancy Free, what they had me do on weekends leading up to that episode, for like 5 weekends, they had me go to a ballroom dancing class. And see, I committed again. And I loved how they wrote that dancing with the fight scene at the very end of that episode. But what was great about it is I finally got to work something different for a change. And Michael Hurst and I used to ad-lib a lot. And the writers used to get mad, but then they said, well, it's funny stuff they're ad-libbing, so they started leaving it in. So there's a scene where he's playing the widow Twinkie, Michael in drag, right? That character is based on his mother. That he used to do it on stage in drag. And we saw him do it one time in theater. We said, we got to get that character in Hercules. And there's this scene where, now here's the hardest thing, with Michael, he'd have the wig up, and so this ridiculous eye the makeup on, these fake boobs. And I'm laughing as he's trying to give me directions. I just couldn't take the guy seriously. But there's a scene in there where we're about to learn this ballroom dancing thing. I'm there to help out this young teenage girl that's been, sort of bullied by these other girls. And he asked, we're going to get rid of the outfit. He goes, it's disgusting. And I said, well, it's all I ever wear. And he says, I know, and I'm sick of it. So we just put those lines in there, and they kept it in there, which is kind of funny. So, but going back to Call, I think I mentioned before, where there's a line in there where Lightfoot, the actor Lightfoot, runs up to tell me that Akabasha, the queen I married, is 3,000 years old. And I ad-libbed. I said, what? She told me she was 19. And I got a big laugh, and they kept it in the movie. So you never know, but you got to have fun on these sets. You're working 16-hour days. So yes, sir, I'll get to you in a second. You know what? They asked me for the first 7 seasons to be in Dancing with the Stars. They called up my agent. They asked me every year to be in it. And every year I said, no way am I going to do that show. And there was a number of reasons I didn't want to do it. Okay, number one, are any of the actors you've seen on the show, are they working at all anymore? And every time I said no, I booked a movie. So I kept saying, keep asking me. And every time you ask me, you guys are good luck for me. So it was great just for that reason alone. But they stopped asking after 7 seasons. But they did. They kept asking. Well, you're tempted in a way because they get like 20 million viewers. It's kind of like soft porn. That's why people watch it. It's pretty sexy. The outfits, and I gotta give kudos, but I think a lot of these actors now that they know they're going to get asked, I think they're taking lessons about a year in advance now. But some of these guys are pretty good, they're pretty impressive. But I didn't want to embarrass myself, so I said no. Yes, wait, you're next. Go ahead. She asked how to keep in touch with Michael Hurst. Michael and I, we probably email each other every 2 or 3 months. You know, our lives are busy. He's down in New Zealand. I'm up here in the States, back home. So he's very busy. He's a big theater guy. He loves the stage. He's on stage doing. He's like the premier Shakespearean actor of New Zealand. And but it's been staying busy. I mean, it's. Sam Raimi and Rob Tappert went on to do Spartacus for 4 years, 4 seasons, and Michael directed on that. They just did, I know his fans knew Bruce Campbell, they just did Evil Dead, it's going to be on Stars Cable. And he directed, I think they shot 10 episodes, they did 3 of those. I told Sam and Rob, why am I not in there? You know, why can't you just put me down and do that? And, but we did 2 of these cons in May down in Australia. I was in Perth and Adelaide for 2 weeks. We were down there, and so Michael and I got together. It was fun because we haven't done it. It's been probably 7 or 8 years since we did a Comic-Con together. And the last one we did was down in New Zealand. We did it in 3 cities in New Zealand. So it's been a while, but we definitely keep in touch. But he's busy. His wife's busy. They got 2 kids. Their kids are involved in heavy in music and stuff. And so, you know, we definitely keep in touch. Michael and I, we had a good time. It was a good relationship. I think people could see how much fun we had on the show together. He was a good time. Who had one over here? Yes, sir.
Did you take voice and dance lessons while you were taking acting lessons while you were being coached?
Did I take voice?
And dancing?
Dancing? No, I've never taken dancing. I mean, you know, I got asked to be a male stripper once when I was in college. I actually did. Like, some guy approached me because I used to love to dance. In college, I danced. I mean, I used to dance back when I was in 7th, 8th grade. I mean, remember the school dance? I was the only guy brave enough to go up and dance. And I said, look, I got 20 girls dance with me, you know? So, but it's funny. I actually got approached by this guy. It was called Le Bear. Le Bear. It was like French stripping. I don't know. But voice, yeah, I took voice. I mean, I don't do it as much as I used to, but I used to read out loud a lot, just reading out loud, just reading and stuff like that. But you know, I know we got a lot of voice actors here. It's tough to break into that world. It's a tough frat to break into. I've done some. I'm the voice of the Crusher on Skylanders. I'm the voice of Hercules in God of War 3. Another thing called Conduit. I've done a lot of narration ones. I've got two DVDs that just came out recently that I narrate the whole thing, the documentaries. And I just got the campaign for Maserati cars. So those will start airing pretty soon. I laid out about 20 tracks for radio and TV. But it's a tough gig to sort of break into because they tend to use the same people over and over again. My buddy Patrick Warburton's in everything. Patrick's the first actor I met when I moved to LA back in the mid-'80s. And he's, people know him from Family Guy's Joe the cop, you know, on the wheelchair and that. But he does so many voiceovers, that guy. So, but that's what he's been doing forever. It's just, you know, it's if you get in there, then you're in there. But it's a tough road to get in there. Every time I go in for an audition, I see the guys who are established radio guys. They look at me and they go, "What the hell are you doing here, man? Don't you got enough work as an actor?" You know, so they don't want the competition, but that's what LA's all about. It's all about competition anyway. So. But one day I'll break in that more. Who else? Yes, sir. I haven't seen Lucy in years. She's mostly down in New Zealand, you know. It's funny because she initially in the first 2 years, we did 5 2-hour movies of Hercules, and we did the first year of 1-hour shows. And she, I think, did about 4 different characters before the Zenith thing even happened. And that was like a fluke, actually, because somebody else was booked in that role. What's her name now? It's going to be crazy. Vanessa Angel, you guys know her, British actress? She was in Weird Science. She was the original Zenith. She got sick back in LA before she was supposed to fly down there. They panicked. And she got the part because of that. It was weird. And then they made her a star. So it's weird how things can happen, being in the right place at the right time. And that's how it all happened. Because initially it was supposed to be Vanessa Angel. But I think it worked out the way it was supposed to. So there you go. But it's, you know, I think the last time I talked to her was on a phone call probably about 5, 6 years ago. It's been a long time. Because I just don't see him. I mean, she's busy with her life, I'm busy with mine. Like with Michael. I mean, Michael and I worked together for 7 years, and I talk to him only 5, 6 times a year. But you know how it is, time and distance. I mean, I'm talking to my own family now. If I'm one of 5 kids, we're in 5 different states. We don't talk enough to each other, you know. But we're still friends, we're still pals. So, yes.
Do you find that you enjoy doing television series or films that start streaming?
I'm hoping my TV series gets picked up. I want to get back into a series again. It's like a factory. I mean, it's long work. long hours, it's hard work, but I like it. I mean, if I had a sitcom, sitcoms are heaven, man. I mean, for an actor, it's 40-hour week. An hour TV show, you anywhere from 70 to 90 hours a week. That's what it is. For an hour TV show, it's a whole different beast. Sitcoms, the writers got to work their butts off, but for the actors, it's an easy gig. I've guest starred in enough sitcoms. I've done about 15 different guest spots, from Dharma and Greg, 2.5 Men, to Just Shoot Me, and all that kind of stuff. But I had my own pilot I shot for ABC after a drama called, you can go online and check it out, it's online, you can see the whole episode, called Bobby Cannon. And it was the #1 tested new show for ABC, and the president of ABC didn't pick it up. So it's still devastating to me in a way, because that would have been a 7-8 year hit. It was sort of Coach meets Cheers is what it was. It was written by Barry Kemp, who wrote Coach, who created Coach, which was a 9-year show. He created Newhart. He created Taxi. I mean, this guy's got a great track record. It was brutal, that show, to get picked up. I mean, I love doing it. I love, you know, it's like doing a play every week. You're on stage, you've got the audience out there, and you're doing, you know, you see sitcoms. If you've ever been in LA to see a sitcom live is being shot, I mean, they're taping obviously, but it's live for the audience. It's fun. It's a fun gig, and it was tough that didn't get picked up, you know. But the movie things have been good. I kind of wanted to do movies for a while, and now it's just, I'm tired of 3 weeks here, 2 months there. I mean, you know, I'd rather be in one place. I'd rather be able to go home instead of being in hotels all the time. Not that I'm complaining. I'm still working, so you know. Yes, sir.
Tell us a little bit about the NBC pilot. What's the show about?
I can't talk too much about it. They don't want me to talk too much about it now. But it's in the vein of, you think of Touch by an Angel, Highway to Heaven, Seventh Heaven, it's like that, but it's not Touched by an Angel, it's more like Punched by an Angel. So it's a lot more drama to it, a lot more grittiness to it, a lot more dirt. It deals with the military as well. And you know, just I'm hoping it's a go. I think it's a pretty good idea. My wife and I developed it, and we hired a writer to flesh it out, and we pitched it around, and NBC loved it, and so did Sony Studios. So when you have the studio and the network involved, that's like gold. They don't do as many pilots as they used to. In today's world, you guys don't realize, back up until 2005, 2006, each network would do about 20 to 30 new shows. And they would test them all and then pick their top 7 and then blast them all in the fall. Now, as you know, they come out any time of year. You never know when they're going to come out, but they push that one, they push that one. And they may say, this is what you got to like now. So that's kind of where it's at right now. So we'll see what happens with this. I mean, they're hammering out contract deals now, people, and I want to shoot, I hope we're going to shoot the pilot. I just hope it gets a pickup, but I think people like it. It's an hour show, so we'll see what happens with that. Yes. That's the end.
In your life, like reminds me of Hercules, what were like the best times with your best friend, and your worst times, like as the best buddy system, you know, like to you kind of mindset, what would be like the worst times, like without the trouble and bug out? Like the really
What's the best and the worst of Hercules is? Well, the best was everything on set. The crew I had was great. Most of my crew, Peter Jackson used to come on the set and kind of walk around, because when we started filming back in 1993, there was those 5 Toronto movies, if you guys remember those. That was Anthony Quinn playing Zeus. For me, that was awesome. We had a whole year with Anthony Quinn, because I got some great stories with Anthony Quinn. Some I can't tell, because there's some young women. But he was a very interesting character, and obviously, you know, 6 Academy Award nominations, 2 wins. I mean, just the stories he had about old Hollywood from the 40s and 50s, it's just pretty cool. But there was one day on the set, actually the introduction of Xena, the trilogy of Xena, at the end of season 2 on Hercules, before Xena became a series. They wanted to sort of introduce a character and see if people would respond to it. And it was a storyline that I had trouble with, that where Michael Hurst, Keolis becomes enamored with her, and she ends up telling him that I'm really the bad guy. And I said, what? I said, I had some battles with the writers, I gotta tell you. Because that made no sense to me. You know, that all of a sudden he's like, well, you know, she's not as evil as you think. Well, yeah, she is. She was pretty bad until she became good. And we have this huge fight. If you guys remember, there's a scene where all her bad guys are around us in a circle, and we got double swords going, and this big fight's going on. There was a move that I did not like. where I get down, as he's swinging at me, I get down really low and do a 360 twist and come at him with the sword. But I don't try to hurt him, I just try to hit him on the side. And in one of the rehearsals, I felt the sword right here. And I went, whoa, and I told Peter Bell, was our stunt choreographer, I said, Peter, this ain't gonna work for me, I don't like that move. And Mike goes, oh Mike, come on, I'm the New Zealand fencing champion, nothing to worry about, Mike, you know. And the very first take, we do that move, I go down, bang, back to the head with the sword. I'm out. I'm on the ground. They rushed me to the hospital. I had a concussion. They split open my head. They put all the stitches in the back of my head. I wake up there, and you look at it in slow motion. Michael Hurts. Okay, when you fight scenes, any fight scenes at all, if you watch guys, Jackie Chan, any of these guys, you always watch. They're looking at where they're going. I don't care what flip they're doing. They're coming to do a kick, whatever it may be. You're always looking at that person, and you're looking. You know what you're supposed to be doing as the person delivering that strike. So you know you're supposed to miss by that much or whatever it's supposed to be. And Michael's short. I'm over 6'3". Michael's about 5'5". Okay, but when I duck, I go down. He's supposed to still be up where my head was, right? I'm down here. He's like this. His eyes are freaking closed. Just nailed me. I mean, you're always supposed to look to what you're doing, and he was not looking at what he was doing. And I was down. And here's the good part, for me anyway. He hit me with the flat part of the sword, luckily. If he hit me with a blade, I'd probably be dead. Seriously, it was the flat part that hit me. Not that. If he had that turn just like that much, who knows? So that's when we switched from steel swords to aluminum, which they call aluminium down there. I got corrected on a lot of stuff. It's not scheduled, it's schedule. And I said, so why do you call it school? Why do you call it shul? I said, I don't care, there's 310 million of us, there's 4 million of you, we're right. Now, no argument here. But as I say, Peter Jackson used to come on the set quite a bit to watch the crew, to see how they're developing, because they've never had this big a production there before. And we only had a handful of people that were really good technical people, camera guys and stuff like that. People, but they worked, man, they worked hard. Like the extras we had, the atmosphere people, all the background people. By season 2, these guys were as good as anybody. But back then, there was just like, no, you can't do this, you can't do that. No, when you talk, you got this fake talk. I mean, it was a lot of work. People got so good so quick. And by our last season, when we knew it was going to be the last season, Peter came and took about 80% of my crew to work on Lord of the Rings. And they all went, like the weather group who did all of our creatures on Hercules boat, they went on to win 5 Academy Awards. You know, they did all of our creatures, they did all these wonderful creatures on The Hobbit that came out recently. I mean, it's amazing. What these guys, Richard Taylor and his team that do down there. And Nyla Dixon did all of our costuming. She won the Academy Award for Best Costume Designer. I mean, it's amazing what that little country ended up doing and making these amazing, amazing films. And yeah, that to me was the best part. It was every day on the set, the laughs we had, because we joked around a lot. And you had to, because there were the days that got tense. Because most days on movie sets, you start kind of slow. You're shooting Gone with the Wind in the morning, then you're doing some soap opera in the afternoon. You just want to get it done because you realize you're running out of time. So that's kind of how that whole works with any show, I think. But it was, obviously that 7 years was huge and instrumental in my career. It was a wonderful chapter of my life. And I look back at that with fondness, I really do. So, like I said, without that show, I wouldn't be talking to you guys about it right now. Yes, sir. He has another Hercules question about, we had 2 or 3 episodes. I think one's called Yes, Virginia. There is a Hercules or Santa Claus or something, and it's where Bruce did such a great job of imitating what Rob Tapert sounds like. So I got to play Hercules, pretending to be Kevin Sorbo, an actor playing Hercules. And it was, and I remember that there's a driving scene I had when Kevin Smith pops in my convertible as Aries, and they have some, really cheesy background of Pacific Palisades or something in the background. And he's just making fun of me, and I kick him out of the car. And those shows are fun. I mean, I don't know if you remember that episode. There was a scene where they're in the Universal building where they write the series in the writer's office, and all the writers line up at the urinals. They start whistling the theme song from Hercules, which is it's just fun, you know. But that's what made that show just great. It's just the jokes we always had to go around. Yes.
What would be your dream project? Would it be like the pilot or you're trying to get going now, or you know?
My dream project. Well, the pilot, I don't know if it's a dream project, but I think it'd be really good. I've got a couple other ones in the back burner. I formed my own production company about 7 years ago. I used to be with ICM. They're like the second biggest agency in the world in terms of actors. But I got tired of being lazy. And once I left them, I just said, dude, I'm done with you. I just only have a manager now. I started working a lot more. And through my production company, I get a lot of scripts. And I give scripts 20 pages. I read them, and after 20 pages, if they don't hold my interest, they're gone. But I'm developing no fewer than probably about 12 different movies right now with 12 different production companies. And they're all about raising money for these little movies. I mean, you look at a little movie that I did a couple years ago called God's Not Dead that was in theaters last year. It's a $2 million movie that made $140 million. I mean, if you put good product out there that's right recorded with people, it gets that word of mouth is going to work. And I have a couple that are coming out that we're trying to raise money for that I think are really, really good projects. But it's tough. It's, you know, the economy hurts everything. So I mean, it hurts in the industry. And to raise money for these small independent movies, it's tough. But a lot more people want to do it. There's a lot of people that are not in the industry that have money that say, you know, I've always wanted to do this. But you know, there's always a contingency. They say, well, can you put my daughter in there for a couple lines? And well, yeah, heck, you're going to give me $2 million to do a movie. I'll put your daughter in there. You know, not going to give her a main part, but you know, give her a couple lines. And they're smart enough to realize that. You know, but I can't think of anything like a dream project on the top of my head right now that's beyond what I'm just trying to develop right now. But it's you know, you get a lot of no's, you get a lot. I mean, I make a lot of phone calls, but that's part of the business. If I don't do anything, then nothing happens, right? And that's like the biggest thing I learned years ago was that you can't be afraid of anything. You can't be afraid of failure because you're not going to have any success if you don't learn how to fail. That's just life, you know. A lot of people hold themselves back. FDR said it decades ago, the only thing that fear is fear itself, right? And that's what holds a lot of people back. And a lot of people set their own limitations on themselves, and I think that's a big mistake. I'm from a little town. I went to LA, didn't know soul, you know. I said, here I am. And I just refused to be turned away. Because every rejection I had in my life just fueled the fire for me. Didn't make me want to quit, it made me want to succeed even more. So there's my lesson for today. Yes?
When writing like the evil version or the evil other version of the character, is it a conscious
I know, everybody gets like a goatee. No, that's true, they do. They did it in God's Not Dead, they did it to the Sovereign. But I guess you had to do something, I guess. I don't know. It's like these commercials for Jaguar and all the British guys. You know, they're really evil. What do you know? My God, he speaks with a British accent. He must be a really good actor. So that's what Hollywood thinks anyway. But yeah, it's kind of funny with that, isn't it? It's sort of there, and I don't know why it's such a weird stereotype in a way, I guess. But they had to do something with Sovereign to make me look different than from Hercules. And I gotta say something. Does anybody know about the disappointed line? Okay, I gotta answer this question because usually people ask. There's a line in one of the episodes of Hercules when I play the Sovereign, which is the evil sort of bilateral universe of Hercules. And I yelled out disappointed, and it hit people put it on YouTube, it hit like 3 million hits. People think that was screen direction, and that I misread something. No. I ad-libbed the line. I thought of Kevin Kline in a wonderful movie called A Fish Called Wanda. If you've never seen it, I highly recommend it. It's very funny. Jamie Lee Curtis is in it, and it's hilarious. And I just borrowed that line from him, and I yelled it out because the line was, "This is not my world," I said. And then I just yelled out disappointed, and I kept it in. But that's when I directed, I always put something in that I added a scene or I invented a sport. And in The Apple, my first time directing, there's an opening scene where we have this big wide shot of there's Bethel's beach. It's this black sand beach. It's a beautiful beach in New Zealand outside of Auckland. And I did all the driftwood, and the clouds were parting, and you could tell the storm just finished, and it looked like there had to be a boat wreck somewhere. And you see this body way in the distance on the beach, and we boom, 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 we get into the body, and it's me laying down, and then we get the cheesy shot going up my legs and my body. I get to my face, and my head's in the sand, and oh my God, Hercules was in a boat accident. And all of a sudden, we have Beach Boy music going. And I get up, I was just taking a nap, I turn around, and there's Aeolus out catching these waves on a piece of the broken ship. And I'm watching him, and there's music, he comes in and goes, "Herc, did you see that? I was riding that." I go, Aeolus, come down. You're riding a piece of wood on water, like that's going to catch on. He goes, "Yeah, I guess you're right." So we all try to throw stuff like in there. And I did that another episode where I'm fighting like 12 guys. And I take out 8 of them, and then 4 of them are running. They're like 2,000 yards away. And I just stop, and I look, and I hit a sword that I had taken off one of the guys. And I look down, look at the sword, and I look down, and I see this rock that sort of looks a little bit like a golf ball. Another rock that looks like a T. So I put it on super slow motion. I use the sword, hit the rock, it goes flying, do a CGI shot, it goes thousands of meters. It hits all 4 guys, they fall down, and I go, 4. And then as I walked off, I kept the camera locked on me, and I look at the sword, and I start walking, I said, I had a feeling this thing would slice. See, golfers get that joke. But that's what made the show fun. The campiness and the humor is what I think made it fun. And we knew that right away. We knew that this was a show that people had to laugh with us, not laugh at us, because you can't take something that show serious. But we had dramatic moments, we talked, there was mythology, we certainly in there, there were moral lessons to get in there, and it was cool, yeah. Well, I love doing drama, sure. Andromeda is the first show I think I mentioned that Gene Roddenberry ever wrote after Star Trek. So to be part of his legacy, to be part of something he created was great for me. I loved it. But I made sure, I was executive producer on that show as well. I made sure, I said, I'm not going to do the hours after Hercules, that ain't going to happen. So I said, I'm working 12 hours door to door. That's enough. If I leave at 6 in the morning, I'm home at 6 at night. I think that's fair. It's a long enough day. And they went for it, and my crew loved me, because my crew had come from, they started in 21 Jump Street, and then they went to X-Files before X-Files moved back to LA. And in X-Files, typical of most one-hour shows, this is what's crazy about one-hour shows, especially if they shoot outside, outdoors, is you might start at 6 o'clock on Monday. By Friday, because of all the push times, because you're working longer days, by Friday, your call time's not till 6 o'clock, 5 or 6 o'clock on Friday afternoon. Because you're wrapping by 5 or 6 on the night before, on the Thursday. So if you're getting called at that time, you're working until 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. So your weekends don't even exist. You feel like you get a day and a half off and start at 6 o'clock in the morning. We wrapped every day by 6 or 7 o'clock. My crew loved it. They were like, it was the first time in years of that dinner with my kids and stuff like that. But it shows you can do it. There's a lot of waste of time on sets, but we kept it. We weren't like Stargate, where every episode they're on a planet that looks like Vancouver, British Columbia. We did a lot of green screen, and we kept things contained. We didn't go outside that often, so I think that made it easier, because the ships we had, the Eureka Morrow and the Andromeda ship, they were already lit. They were all pretty much ready to go. The only lighting they had to do was maybe in close-ups and stuff like that. But the show was boom, boom. We did 7-day episodes. On Hercules, it was 9, 10-day episodes. So it was an easy schedule to shoot, and it was great. But I mean, heck yeah. Like I said, I wish we had the last 2 seasons. I wasn't happy. Yes. She asked what a movie they call Meet the Spartans. Look, I had a meeting in LA. I live about 40 miles outside of LA, so I want to make sure I'm going in, don't waste my time for one meeting, because 30 miles in LA is like an hour and a half. Just the traffic sucks. So I had a meeting at 11, another one till 3. So I had a couple hours to kill in between. So I went to see 300 when I was out at the time in theater. So they said, you gotta see this movie. Loved it, awesome with the movie. But I kept thinking, this is Sparta, everything's so serious, and they had this giant hole in the middle of town. I kept thinking, how many dogs and kids fall in there and die every day, I said, this movie is perfect for spoofing. I need to spoof this movie. 2-3 weeks later, I get a call from the guys who directed Scary Movie, Epic Movie, Date Movie, all these, and I love Naked Gun and Airplane and Caddyshack. I love to spoof movies like that. And they said, look, we're doing a spoof on 300. I said, sold. Don't care what the parties I'm in. And so there's this scene, I play a lieutenant, the right hand of Leonidas, and I'm supposed to get 300 soldiers, warriors, you know, under his specifications, and I show up and there's 13. And he says, I thought I asked for 300, this doesn't seem to be quite as many. And I said, well, you had very strict specifications. And he said, what were they again? I said, well, you want an incredibly good looking, six-pack abs and be well endowed. So when we skip in the battle, we actually held hands and we skip in the battle with the song, Gloria Gaynor's I Will Survive. And it was so hard to keep a straight face. I think we did that tape 20 times. Because nobody could keep a straight face. It was just so stupid and ridiculous. But they loved it so much. And actually, the end of the movie, if you watch it when the credits go, they actually didn't shoot it. We shot that movie in New Orleans. We shot it back in the studio on Fox Studios. And, no, Sony, it was Sony Lot, when the Sony Lot. And they rebuilt identical American Idol set. And it was all singing, I Will Survive. All of us going out singing and dancing, I Will Survive. So that was how they run the credits at the very end, which I thought was pretty fun. But yeah, it was tough to keep a straight face. It was tough to keep a straight face. But it was fun. In July and August, in New Orleans, it's like July and August here. It was perfect. No humidity, no high temperatures. Nothing at all. It was good. Yes? God's Not Dead, we talked a little earlier. I mean, obviously did really, really well. The company's called PureFlix. They're the #1 distributor of family-based and faith-based type of movie, family-friendly movies. Based out of Scottsdale, great guys. I highly recommend What If for people who want a good movie for the kids to watch. They approached me with it and said, look, we got this movie, it might be a role you don't want to take. I read it and said, I'm in. I play this atheist college professor, I love it. Look, I'm a Christian, I'm not perfect. I have atheist friends, we have great debates, we still part as friends. I don't push anything on anybody. To me, it's like, I'm a live and let live kind of guy. You believe what you want to believe, I'm fine with that. You know, but this is where I'm at. And I love the role, because what I find interesting when I see like these cable shows on Fox and CNN and MSNBC and stuff, I see these guys that actually take the time to form like clubs, atheist clubs of America or something. I'm going, why do you get so mad and pissed off about something you don't believe in? I don't get it. They should equally be upset about Santa Claus and the Easter rabbit then, you know? I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. I don't get it. To me, it's such a waste of time. I don't believe in broccoli. Knock yourself out, guys. Eat all the broccoli you want. So I kind of base it on those characters because I find it interesting. Because my niece and nephew actually had that happen to them in college, where they got tormented by a college professor who was an atheist and failed them just for simply having a belief and having a religion, which I think is just weird to me. But, you know, I don't know. I have better ways to spend my time. And to me, that's a religion in itself. I just don't believe in any of it. But that's a religion if you're spending so much time getting angry about a nativity scene. I don't know why nativity scene is that obsessed with. Why? Oh, those darn Christmas trees. You know, I got Jewish friends who call them Christmas trees from kind of loud, you know, so. But, you know, it is what it is. And I mix it up. And people ask me, is that all you want to do is faith-based? Well, no. I got a movie called Julia X where I play a serial killer. So, you know, ain't much of a Christian there. So, I mean, to me, I'm an actor, and if a part interests me, I'm gonna do it. You know, just some parts I just go, you know, it depends on my mood. Maybe parts I've said no to and made mistakes by not doing it, you know, but it's fun to mix it up. It's fun. Anybody else? Yes?
You got a lot of backlash
Backlash? Well, you know what? They apparently have, back to the atheists, I mean, they barely have a huge film convention or something in Tennessee or somewhere where they show these movies and mock them and make fun of them and ad-lib lines and stuff like that. And we were the main movie, so I take that as, well, wow, I take that as a salute to the movie. Obviously, having an effect of reading. But is there a backlash? Well, yeah, there probably could be in Hollywood. It's weird, you know. I mean, the weird thing about Hollywood is they scream for tolerance yet have none. You know, freedom of speech, but only if you agree with what I say. I mean, tolerance isn't a one-way street, but they play it that way, which is really kind of frustrating for me. I'm tolerant of you, why can't you be tolerant of me? But once again, like I said, I have friends with different points of view, but we're still friends. I don't get all mad about, oh, I never want to be your friend again. You know, I'm not, it's just silly to me. I mean, we're all different. We all have different points of view. So, to me, I mean, more than anything is, in this next election, we should vote everybody out on both sides of the aisle. Let's get some new blood in there, guys. No more 40-year careers for these guys. Get them out of there. But, you know, that's just my 2 cents. Yes? You telling me we're done? Oh. Poison Ivy. I can't, it's so bright. There you are. Turn those suckers down so. Poison Ivy, go for it. How many outtakes of Hercules? Yeah. You know, here's what I find sad, because I would always tell them to print those things, that weird things happened on Hercules and Andromeda, both the shows. And you guys are totally boned out some really funny moments because they didn't print them, really. And it's frustrating me because I know we had some outtakes, they put them on some reels, but I know they're far better ones. And like Andromeda, Lexa Doig and Lisa Ryder, who played Becca Valentine in the ship Andromeda, the android Andromeda, those two are truckers with tits. I mean, the way these women swear, it's unbelievable. I mean, when they blow a line, it's every word. And on one of our rap parties, they put together like a 3-minute clip of those two missing lines, and just, me, if I miss a line, I just go, do it again, I just keep the camera going, keep going. They just lose it, and it's hilarious to me. And, but they're funny on set, both of them. I mean, Lexa Doig is just in that case, she's just like, she's absolutely hilarious. She should be in a sitcom. I don't know what she's doing. Here's the story. So Michael Shanks comes in to do an episode of Andromeda. And she's got this boyfriend, Peter, who lives in Toronto. We're shooting in Vancouver. By the second day on set, I said, something's going on between her and Lexa and Michael Shanks. And then Lisa goes, no, she loves Peter. I said, she don't love Peter anymore. I'm pretty sure of that. Sure enough, they started up pretty quick. And they've been together, I don't know, geez, 15 years, 14 years. They have a couple kids, so, but I knew something was going on. Stargate, copulating with. Oh well. I knew somebody else had him too. Right here. Role I turned down, I can't, there are roles I wish I had wanted. I mean, I don't look at other actors and go, oh, I could have done that better. That's why I think the Academy Awards, like Best Actors, kind of a weird thing. Because unless they're all doing the same movie, how do you gauge? It's very political. It's all just a big power play. Who's got the most money, who's got the most, because there's so many good actors out there. But I look at roles lost from other actors I know, like Tom Selleck was supposed to be Indiana Jones. And they wouldn't let him out of his contract to go shoot it when he was doing Magnum at the time, Magnum P.I. Oh God, the Fabulous Baker Boys. What's her name? Michelle Pfeiffer turned down the role for Silence of the Lambs, and Jodie Foster won an Academy Award playing that role. So I bet she's like, oh, well, maybe I should have done that role. You know? So I can't think of. I got very close on Lois and Clark. It was between Dean Cain and I for that role. And we both went in, we both read with Terry Hatcher a couple times, she'd already been cast. And they called me up after the last thing, Barbara Miller, who was the head of casting at Lorimar and Warner Brothers, called me up, she got the part. I flipped out, man. Went out with my manager and agent with champagne. Next morning they called me and said, yeah, we changed our mind, we're going with Dean Cain. This is Hollywood, guys. You get the highs are highs and lows are lows very, very quickly. And they say you're supposed to have, thick skin. It's tough when that happens. Dean's a good friend of mine. I've known Dean for years. And I give him a hard time because 3 months later, I got Hercules. My show, his show, when 3 years got canceled, mine went 7 years, became the most watched show in the world. So there. Things worked out the way they're supposed to. But, yes? You know, the audition process sucks. There's no other way to describe it. It's a weird thing because Hollywood's, it's not about we love you. It's all about elimination. They want to get rid of you. You walk in the room, oh, he looks like my ex-husband, I don't like him. You know? That stuff happens, trust me. I mean, you look at a show like 24, good show. Kiefer Sutherland got his mom's height, didn't get his dad's height, okay? Kiefer's not a tall guy. They have a tape at the casting director's office that if you walk in and you're 2 inches above that, forget about it. You're not going to get the part. I lost parts because of my height all the time. Just, no, you're too tall. Well, am I right for the part? Yeah, I bet you're too tall. I met with Arnold Schwarzenegger at the Sony lot for the 6th day. Was that what it's called?
Yeah.
6th day, yeah. And I was going to play his cop buddy or something on that show. So I met with the director, I met with Arnie. We go into the office, we sit down, we're talking, blah, 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 blah. The director walks me out. He says, I want you, but Arnold says no. He says, why? He says, you're too tall. And I went, really? And that's how you can lose parts. So, you know, here, Tom Cruise and Sean Penn, they do not want to stand next to me. It's the reality, guys. It's reality. But they're good actors. They're amazing actors. I will support their movies. But, you know, it's weird how you lose things. And in the audition process, as you said, one time I had a guy come up to me before I went in, Michael Braverman, the producer of this, I ended up getting the lead in the pilot. He said, remember, we want you to get this. And it helps to hear that. Because you get nervous walking in because they decide your career. They decide if we're going to give you a career now. There are a lot of wonderful actors I've worked with through the years that never got their SAG card, never got a chance to get on nothing beyond a commercial or something. And it's weird, it's luck, it's timing, it's hard work, it's so many different things that go involved in there. And you never know. They brought me in 7 times for Hercules, 7 times at Universal Studios. And the 7th time I went in there, every time they never changed the sides they gave me, the script that they wanted me, the scene they wanted me to do. If you didn't know what sides were, that's what it is. That's a lingo Hollywood talk. Never give me new sides. And so I went in the 7th time, and they were down to 3 guys. They looked at 2,800 actors in North America for this role. And I got in there, and there was probably 20 people there from all the suits and the skirts from Universal. All the power players from Universal were there. And I got up there, and I stood in front of them, and did the scene again. And then one of the women, she says, they've asked me to ask you this, but would you mind taking your shirt off for us? And we saw Hercules, I was in pretty good shape. So I took my shirt off, and she went, oh. and I said, well, I'm a lot bigger out of my clothes. And then Sam Raimi says, he goes, okay, because I got man growth, I'm not, you know, like a bear, but I've got hair in the chest and stomach. And Sam says, so would you mind shaving if you got the role? Would you shave your chest and stomach? And I went, oh, I'm sorry, I thought you wanted a man for this part. And I started walking out the door. I think they liked the fact that I was joking around. I think that's what helped me even get the part. So a week later, not a week later, because I already booked this part, I left 3 days later to go up to Vancouver to shoot on Michael Chiklis' series, The Commish. Remember The Commish? And I get a call on my birthday, no less. And my manager called and said, you got the part. And I walked on the set, and I looked at Chiklis, and I said, you better not screw with me, pal. I am now half God. But that's how I got it. And I spent the next 2 months working out, training with this Douglas Wong, a wonderful guy, one of the first students, one of the original students of Bruce Lee. And then went to New Zealand, and 7 years later, we hit it. So, what are you doing over there, love? Are you doing a little dance for us? You were shaking it, I saw it. Yeah, what about?
So, I mean, Kate told me to ask you this, but can you take your shirt off?
Only if you pay for it. I'm easy, but I'm cheap. $2. So, yeah. Yeah. Have I gone around the world? Well, I mean, New Zealand, 7 years with Hercules, and I mean, I've covered a lot of places. You know, it's funny, before I got Hercules, Some of the older people in the crowd might remember, some of my commercials, if you saw them, you'd probably freak out. I was the #1 commercial actor in America for 3 straight years. And I shot over 150 commercials. Not in those 3 years, but during those last 3 years before Hercules, I was doing a lot of commercials. And I shot amazing. I shot in Australia, I remember I shot this commercial for Jim Beam whiskey. And it was down in New Zealand, in Auckland, New Zealand. About a year and a half before I even got Hercules. I remember being down there, we shot for 10 days this commercial, ran around the world. And I remember thinking to myself, this is a pretty cool country. I really want to come back down here and check it out. And then a year and a half later, I got Hercules, lived there for 7 years, so be careful what you ask for. But I've shot all over Europe. I lived in Europe for 3.5 years. So I shot all over there. I lived in Munich, I lived in Paris, I lived in Milan, I lived up in London, I lived in Zurich. I went over there to just spend 3 months after college, and I just stayed. My parents were going, I thought you were going to move to LA. I said, I'll get there. This is what your 20s are for, man. You know, so, I mean, it was a wonderful, wonderful experience in that. But, yeah, I mean, I've been lucky to shoot a lot of places. I mean, I think I'm probably on my 7th passport. I filled up that many passports. So I've traveled extensively. You know, I've been to Moscow, I've been to, I mean, all over South America. I've done commercials down there. I remember shooting a commercial for my first time down in Buenos Aires. Buenos Aires, for people who speak, I mean, it's good air, right? It ain't good air down there. It was pretty polluted, but it was beautiful. I mean, I loved being down there. And I'm a steak eater, and the steak was incredible, and their red wine was pretty good too. But I got to tell a story. I'm segueing. There's this guy. This guy gave me such a hard time. You get the anti-American sentiment all the time. I mean, I think it's a jealousy thing, whatever it may be. And this guy down in Buenos Aires, who was like the PA of the show, he would come to get me and bring me back and forth on the set, was just bashing America constantly. So finally I looked at him and I go, Pierre, let me tell you something. In all the years I've had discussions, intelligent ones, non-intelligent, political, sports, doesn't matter what it is, Argentina never comes up in America. You know why? We don't care about Argentina in America. Shut him up right away. Said, we bailed you guys out twice. Give me a break. You guys were bankrupt with us, and we said, no, we're not going to charge you anything for this. But no, but it's beautiful down there. It is, and I've been to Rio as well, and Rio's beautiful too. It's cool. I love to travel. I love to travel. So once you start to travel, it's hard to stop. That's the problem. My wife is sick of it, but I still travel. Anyway, where are we at here, guys? Well, go ahead.
What started? How did you get started in that? What made you decide to do it?
You were here earlier, were you?
No.
I saw a play when I was 11 years old. And I said, that's what I want to do. But I didn't really go after it until I got into college. You know, look, I was a jock. You know, I fell into the cliques just like anybody else. And we made a bunch of pussies in acting class, you know. And at the same time, I'm going, yeah. Well, what are they doing in there? You know, what is going on? So, besides, all the best looking women were in the drama class. So, you know, with half the guys in drama class being gay, I had it made. The odds were knocked out there for me, so it was good. But no, I just always loved it. You know, I think I watched a lot of old black and white films with my mom growing up. Cary Grant, Spencer Tracy, Katharine Hepburn. I love all that old. I love those movies. And that sort of set the seed early in my life. I was 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. I watched these movies with my mom. The other 4 siblings would never watch this, but I liked them. And I think that definitely had an impact on me as well. I'm a big Cary Grant fan. I love John Wayne. You know, just so many cool movies from at that time. And they were really well-written scripts. Hollywood doesn't take chances like that anymore. They really don't. You know, they just shot Pirates of the Caribbean 27. They know people are going to go see it, so they don't want to take chances on something that they might, you know, they blew it. I mean, look what happened on, they had a great cast with, for The Lone Ranger. That movie lost $170 million. That thing bombed so bad. I walked out of the theater. I said, "This is horrendous." And they had good actors in there with Johnny Depp and you know Arm & Hammer guy. You know, but I mean, what are you gonna do? If it's a bad script, it's a bad script. Anybody else? Yes. Was what? The height, well, Lucy's tall too. I don't, you know, it never came up. We had a couple of guys 30 taller than me. I didn't care, but I never thought about that at that time. And if they did that, I certainly wasn't aware of it. I mean, most of the time, they were always booking some hot babe to work with me anyway. You know, it was a great dating service before I met my wife. So, every 2 weeks, hi, I'm Kevin. So, yeah. No, it was, that certainly never came up. They never really talked to me. They would bring me their final says. I didn't have a lot of sane casting back then. I was able to get a couple people as the series progressed. I had friends of mine I wanted to be in there. But, you know, they gave me a pretty good contract because I was down there away from home. They gave me 14 business class tickets a year to use. 14 for family and friends. Which is pretty good. It was like $5 each. This is, you know, they just spent a lot more money back then. So every year I flew family members down. Every year my mom and dad would come down. Every year I'd bring down friends. So it was fun. It was fun for them to be on set. There was a scene I put my mom and dad in as extras, and they dressed them all up as, you know, village people, not that kind of village people, but one was a cowboy, one was the Indian, no. And Michael and I were talking, and I go through them, it's kind of busy, and I go, excuse me, folks. It's an inside joke. And I turned back to look at him, he goes, do you know them? I said, I know, they look familiar to me. But we just kept it in, just for people that know my mom and dad. But, you know, we did stupid stuff like that all the time. That's really the show. So it was fun. And we have one more time? One more question. Yes? What are my favorite personal moments? Certainly meeting my wife on the set. I mean, like I said, they always had hot women for me to work with, but I mean, it was something different when I met her. And I started hitting on her right away, very first day, very first scene. And she's laughing at me. She's going, dude, I don't date actors with long hair. And she said, and I don't date actors. And I said, well, right now this actor with long hair is making a pretty good living, so maybe you want to think about it, you know? And it's funny, because our very first scene was the last scene of the movie. And they do that a lot. There's a kissing scene with two actors in case by the 10th day they hate each other, they want to get that out of the way. So our very first scene was a kissing scene, but it wasn't big, it was just a goodbye kiss. It was a sad goodbye kiss, because we had, you know, we knew we liked each other, but Hercules must be single and moving. He's the loner, the journeyman, you know. So I walked up to her, and I said, so what do you think? Should we, you want to rehearse this kissing scene? She rolls her eyes, and she says, sure, Kevin. And she says, Annie, do you have any mints? And Annie goes, yes, I got some mints. She goes, well, it's not for me, it's for Kevin. Touche. So, yeah, that's how I got all started out. Because, you know, she's a Pittsburgh, New York smartass. So I like that right off the bat. But yeah, so I think that was kind of certainly, I know, and certainly my kids. I mean, having kids was amazing. I always wanted to have kids. And well, she had them, but I mean, I helped. I was there for the fun part. After that, it's all your problem. Anyway, one more. Okay, we'll go back over here.
On the set, were you able to keep anything like from the set?
Well, I have something from a lot of the Hercules shows. I have trinkets and, you know, medallions and really cool things, and I have 3 of the original Hercules costumes. The leather pants were 3 layers of leather. A lot of people don't realize those pants and boots combined weigh 12 pounds. So all the fighting scenes I had to do on top of the 12 pounds, it was a good workout just to wear those pants all the time. But yeah, I got all my stuff from Andromeda as well. I got all my outfits I wore for the series, and there are certain things, like Andromeda, the force lances we had, come on, they look like vibrators, they really did. And so what I did almost every single episode, whatever woman was co-starring, during a scene I'd pull out and go, have you seen my force lance? And it became sort of a thing on the show. And if I didn't do it by the last day of shooting, my crew would always whisper, man, come on, show her your force lines. You got to show her the force lines. But it was fun. I mean, there was all bits and pieces, little memory pieces that, and they let me take it. I didn't nick them. I didn't steal them. I mean, it was stuff that they were going to get rid of anyway. Like the flexes we had on Andromeda. We had some pretty cool props on that show. These guys did a good job. So. Are we done? Is everything? I guess we're done. Hey guys, thanks a lot. Appreciate it.